Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so we will start there. Prayers by Akrura. This chapter is in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is relating to the prayers that were offered by Akrura to Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Okay, so we'll read a little background here. Akrura prayed Brahma, who created this visible world emanated from the lotus navel of Supreme Lord. The 5 elements of physical nature, the 5 corresponding objects of perception, the 10 senses, the ego, the total nature, the primeval creator, and the demigods all originate from his bodily limbs. He cannot be known as a sensory knowledge, and thus even Brahma and other demigods are ignorant of his real identity. So we all know that story, right? How Brahma was bewildered. Similarly, and Brahma has created all this universe, still, even coming to that exalted position of Brahma, who's the creator of all this, ultimate creator, of course, is Lord, the Supreme Lord Krishna. But having such, elevated consciousness, even Brahma got bewildered when he saw Lord Krishna was, when he appeared in Vrindavan here, and he was playing with the boys, and he thought, really, like he's like the Supreme Lord who's playing with, he's tending cows and playing with cowherd boys and doing all kinds of fun things with them. Is he really the Supreme God? So that was his illusion. Similarly, Akrura also did not know that Krishna was the Supreme Lord because of his so deep connection to Lord, and he wanted to protect Lord. Now we all know who Akrura was, right? He was one of the ministers in the court of Kansa, and he was sent by Kansa to go and invite Lord Krishna, the boy Krishna, to come to Mathura from Vrindavan. And Kansa had all these plans that he was going to, attack Lord when he comes here, and thinking that Kansa also was, had that enmity regarding with Lord Krishna, and then he wanted to kill him somehow. So that was all his plan, to invite him to Mathura and then attack. So Akrura was sent by Kansa to Vrindavan to go call him, or to invite Lord to Mathura. And why was Akrura was chosen to go to Vrindavan? Because Akrura had a very good bonding and relationship with Nanda Maharaj and the family, and then the residents of Vrindavan. And Kansa thought that he might be, upon once, because if you know someone and if they invite, you kind of feel obligated. And Kansa thought that once if Akrura goes and invites, then Krishna might feel obligated to come to Mathura, and that's why he sent Akrura. So in this chapter, what we are going to read is, when Lord Krishna, and Akrura was very worried. He did not wanted to invite Lord Krishna because he knew ill intentions of Kansa, that he's going to invite Lord and he's going to kill, or he's going to attack the Lord, and that's why he wasn't really on board with all this. But at the end, he was a minister in Kamsa, so he had to follow the orders. So he went, but he was very extremely worried that he did not wanted Lord to come to Mathura. Although he went there to invite, but he did not really wanted Lord to be there. Now, when all that bewildered, when Krishna, understood his heart, and Krishna was so pleased by his worry, because although he was forced to do something by Kansa, which he did not wanted to do, but in all that, he was seeing Lord Krishna, saw his deep connection and his intentions to protect Lord. Now, Lord is a protector of the whole universe, right? We know we all come from him. He is the supreme Lord. He is the supreme controller of everything. But here, because of his deep connection and deep love with the Lord, okay, are you not able to hear? Nihal, are you not able to hear?
Now I can.
Okay. So that way, Lord felt that he wanted to reciprocate with Akrura and let him know and remove Akrura's worry that he is the Supreme Lord. And that's what he did. And when Lord Krishna revealed his form as, the Supreme Lord, as Virat Swarup of the entire universe, that time Akrura was so ecstatic to see that supreme Lord and get his darshan, and all his worry was removed. And then he offers these prayers, and that's what this chapter is about, the prayers offered by Akrura to Lord Krishna. Okay, so with that we will read a little more. Different classes of people worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in different ways. Fruitive workers worship him by performing Vedic sacrifices. Philosophers by renouncing material work and pursuing spiritual knowledge. Yogis by meditating. Saivitis by worshipping Lord Shiva. Vaishnavas by following the injunctions of such scriptures as Pancharatra. And other saintly persons by worshipping him as the original form of the self. Of the material substances of the controlling demigods, just as river flows from various directions into the ocean, the worship of those who dedicate themselves to these various entities find its ultimate purpose within the Supreme Lord Vishnu. The form of the total universe, the Virat Swarupa, is imagined to be form of Lord Vishnu, like aquatics moving in and out, moving about in water, or like tiny insects burrowing in an undumbered fruit. All living beings move about within the Lord. These living beings, bewildered by his Maya, wandering along the path of material work, falsely identifying with body, home, and so forth, under the sway of illusion, a foolish person may overlook the reservoir of water covered by the grass and leaves and instead run after the mirage. Similarly, living beings caught in the grasp of ignorance abandon Lord Vishnu and become attached to their bodies, home, and so on. Such faithful servants of their senses cannot take shelter to the Supreme Lord lotus feet. Only if his mercy gets the association of saintly devotees will their material entanglement end. Only then can they develop Krishna consciousness by serving the Lord's pure devotee. Okay, so text 1. Who would like to read some text starting from text 1? Mika, you want to read?
Govinda.
Yes, Govinda, go ahead.
Sri Akrura said, I bow down to you, the cause of all causes, the original and incurable Supreme Person Narayana. From the world of the lotus born from your navel, Brahma appeared, and by his agency, this universe has came to being.
Yeah, go ahead and read a few more verses, Govinda.
Earth, water, fire, air, ether, and these souls false ego. The Mahatattva, the total material nature and her source, the Supreme Lord Puryas expands the mind, the senses, the sense object, and the senses, presenting deities, all the cause of the comic manifestation, are born from your transcendental body.
Thank you, Govinda. Mihika, you want to read further?
Okay, Mataji. Text 3, right?
Yes.
The total material nature and these other elements of creation certainly cannot know you as you are, for they are manifested in the realm of dull matter. Since you are beyond the modes of nature, even Lord Brahma, who is bound up in these modes, does not know your true identity. Text 4. Pure yogis worship you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by conceiving you in the threefold form comprising the living entities, the material elements that constitute the living entities' bodies, and the controlling deities of these elements. Text 5. Brahmanas who follow the regulations concerning the three sacred fires worship you by chanting mantras from the three Vedas and performing elaborate fire sacrifices from the various demigods who have many forms and names. Mataji, do I read more?
Yes, go ahead and read until 10.
Okay. Text 6. In pursuit of spiritual knowledge, some persons renounce all material activities and having thus become peaceful, perform the sacrifice of philosophic investigation to worship you, the original form of all knowledge. Text 7. And yet others, those whose intelligence is pure, follow the injunctions of Vaishnava scriptures promulgated by you, observing their minds in thought of you, they worship you as the one Supreme Lord manifesting in multiple forms. Text 8. There are still others who worship you, the Supreme Lord, in the form of Lord Shiva. They follow the path described by him and interpreted in various ways by many teachers. Text 9. But all these peoples, my Lord, even those who have turned their attention away from you and are worshipping other deities, are actually worshipping you alone, O embodiment of all the demigods. Text 10. As rivers born from the mountains and filled by the rain flow from all sides into the sea, so do all these paths in the end reach you, O Master.
Jai. Thank you, Mihika. So, what are these first 10 verses saying of the prayers? Akrura is saying that basically these are describing that Lord is the source of everything, of every demigod, of every worshipable personality. Whoever people have faith are actually coming from who? From the Lord himself. So Lord is source of everything. Everything that is material, everything that is spiritual, everything emanates from the Lord. That's how Akrura is starting his prayers. First he's saying, I bow down to you, the cause of all causes, the original and inexhaustible Supreme Person, Narayan, from the world of the lotus born from your navel is Brahma who created this universe, right? That is also coming, Brahma himself coming from the Lord. Now, the material things, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and its sources, false ego, the Mahatattva, the total material nature, or and her sources, the Supreme Lord's Purusha expansions, the mind, senses, sense objects, senses, presiding deities, all these causes of cosmic manifestation are born from your transcendental body. Again, regard whether it is spiritual or whether it is material, everything comes from the Lord. The total material nature and these other elements of creation certainly cannot know you as you are. And what happens is, although Lord is the source of everything, but it is very hard for people to come to that, understanding that of understanding the position of the Lord. What to say of us jivas, even like Brahma, even Indra, they get bewildered of the position of the Lord. So who can know this position of the Lord? Only if Lord himself reveals it to the devotee's heart. And that's what happened with Akrura. When Akrura was so much disturbed that he has to bring Lord here to Mathura, he was tasked to do that, which he did not want to because he knew Kansa was going to kill. Here, you try to imagine Akrura's mind that he is loving Krishna so dearly, but he has to bring him to a person who's trying to harm him. So he was so bewildered and he was so disturbed by that. And that worry, in that worry, when Krishna revealed it to him, his mind is offering all these prayers. Oh my Lord, I did not understand you before. What to say of Akrura himself? We jivas is no way we can understand Lord unless we get the mercy of the Lord and Guru, who reveals the position of the Lord. So that's what Akrura is saying in his opening prayers, that, oh my Lord, you're the source of everything, but it is very hard for the jivas, it is very hard for the demigods, it's hard for anybody to know you in complete and to know your position unless Lord himself reveals it. And whoever people, other, whoever are worshipping the Lord in different forms, some people worship demigods, some people have faith in Lord Shiva. But here Akrura is saying, although you are the source of even these demigods, even Lord Shiva, they're all coming from you. So ultimately, if there is a worship of all the demigods or any demigods or Lord Shiva or anybody, it is still in worship of, they are indirectly worshipping the Supreme Lord. And that's what Lord says in Bhagavad Gita also, right? Although, surrendering to the Lord is a supreme perfection at the same time. He also reveals that in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, very nice. Thank you, Mika. So let's read next 5 verses. Saisha, you want to read from 11 to 15?
Okay. Goodness, passion, ignorance, the qualities of your material nature entangle all conditions living begin from Brahma down to the non-moving creatures. Where should I stop?
I offer my obeisances to you.
Okay, but no, where should I stop?
15.
Okay. I offer my obeisances to you, who, as the supreme soul of all beings, witness everyone's consciousness with unbased vision. The current of your material modes, produced by the force of ignorance, flows strongly among the living beings who assume identities of demigods, humans, and animals. Fire is said to be your face, the earth your feet, the sun your eye, and the sky your navel. The directions are your sense of hearing. The chief demigod your arms, and the ocean your about them. Heaven is thought to be your head, and the wind your vital air and the physical strength. The trees and the plants are the hairs of your body. The clouds, the hair on your head, and the mountains, the bones and nails. If you of you, the supreme, the passage of day and night is the blinking of your eye, and the progenitor of mankind, your genitals, and the rain, your sin. All the worlds with their presenting demigods and teeming populations ornate in you and inexhaustible supreme personality of Godhead. These words travel within you. The basis of the mind and senses, just as acquaintance, swim in the sea, or tiny insects burrow within the adumbra fruit.
Thank you. So what is Akrura saying here? That, oh, goodness, passion, and ignorance, these qualities of your material nature entangled all conditioned living beings, from Brahma down to non-moving creatures, right? We are all under the influence of what? Modes of material nature. Not only us, is Akrura is saying, right from Brahma, who is the first living being, who is the first creator of the universe. From him, everybody is under this illusion or under the material influence of these three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Sometimes we are in goodness, sometimes in passion, sometimes in ignorance. So nobody is free. That's why he's saying, oh my Lord, you, although are seated in everybody's heart, he's witnessing, and he's seeing, he's being the witness of everything that is becoming or coming through. Fire is, so now here Akrura is saying that, all this, how the Virat Swarupa of the Lord is. Fire is his face, and earth is his feet, sun is your eyes, sky is your navel, so on, so on. He's explaining that entire material universe is actually emanating from you. Different parts of this material, body, material world, are different parts of the bodies of the Virat Swarup of the Lord. Because why? Because everything is coming from Lord. All the worlds with their presiding demigods and teeming population originate from you. That's what he's saying. Okay, let's continue. So basically, Lord is the source of everything. So let's read from 16 to 20. Nihal, you want to read from 16 to 20?
Yes. To enjoy your pastimes, you manifest yourself in various forms in this material world, and these incarnations cleanse away all the unhappiness of those joyfully chant all your glories. I offer my obeisances to you, the cause of the creation, Lord Matsya, who swam in the ocean of dissolution, to Lord Hayagriva, the killer of Madhu and Ketaba, to the immersed tortoise, Lord Kurma, who supported Mandara mountain, and to the boar incarnation, Lord Varaha, who enjoyed lifting earth. Obeisances to you and the amazing lion, Lord Narasimha, who remove your saintly devotees' fear, and to the dwarf Vamana, who stepped over the three worlds. Obeisances to you, Lord of Brighus, and who cut down the forest of coincided royal order, and to Lord Rama, the best of Raghu dynasty, who put an end to the demon Ramana.
Yeah. So now Akrura is moving on to say all these incarnations of the Lord. To enjoy your pastimes, you manifest yourself in what not only the everything that is material or everything that is spiritual is coming from the Lord, but here Akrura is even going a step ahead and saying all these incarnations, right? What incarnations do we know? What incarnations are there? Matsya, Kurma, right? What is the third incarnation?
Ah,
Paraha,
Simha,
Narsimha, fifth,
Vamana,
Vamana, and then
Parshurama,
Parshuram,
Ram,
Rama,
Ram,
Balram,
yes, and then Buddha or Balaram, either of those, and then Lord Krishna, and then
Kalki.
Kalki,
these are all the 10, but you know that there are in Bhagavatam itself there are 24 other.
Buddha,
Yes, there are other 24 that are
This one also the one.
yes, that are explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, that are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. And besides that, there is also a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam which says that these are not all there is incarnations. When in Bhagavatam, when there is mention of these 24 incarnations, these are not all the 24 incarnations. There are innumerable incarnations of the Lord, innumerable, as many as there might be waves on the sea. So can you imagine Lord is always present in some universe, some, time of that phase of that universe, and he's doing all these pastimes and he's conduct. And why does Lord has to come to to these material universes? To revive. Yes, go ahead, Govinda. Why does Lord come to the universes? To revive the saintly people and take them back, to guide them back to Godhead, to purify them. Because when Lord conducts all these pastimes, when he does all these pastimes with devotees and with his associates, what happens is everybody gets attracted to the Lord, and and with those pastimes they absorb in the dealings, the bond of love that Lord shares. And that's how when they get absorbed in that, their material knots, which are, tying them back here, their karma, all those knots are broken and they purify their hearts. Those pastimes purify their hearts. So all these incarnations, whenever Lord come, who is the source? Who is the original incarnation? Like, who is the source of all these incarnations? That is Lord Krishna.
Krishna,
Here in this next 5 verses, Akrura is saying that, oh my Lord, you are the source of not only material, not only spiritual, but you are the source of all these incarnations. So to enjoy your pastimes, you manifest yourself in various forms in material world. And these incarnations cleanse away all unhappiness and those who joyfully chant your glories. I offer my obeisances to you, the cause of creation, Lord Matsya, the first one, right, who swams about the ocean of dissolution, then Lord Hayagriva, the killer of Madhu and Kaitava, to the immense tortoise, Lord Kurma, who supported Mandara mountain, and the boar incarnation, Lord Vara, who enjoyed lifting the earth. Obeisances to you, the amazing lion Narsimha, who removed your saintly devotees' fear. Who is that? Prahlad, right? And to draft Vamana, who stepped over the 3 worlds. So all these pastimes we know, right, from Srimad Bhagavatam, when Lord appears as Vamana, Shima, but who is the source of all this? The source of all this is Lord Krishna. So he's saying that, oh my Lord, you're the source of everything. Obeisances to you, the Lord of Brigus, who cut down the forests of conceived royal order, and to Lord Rama, who is the best of Raghu dynasty, who puts an end to demon Ravana. Okay, obeisances to you. Okay, let's see. Who would like to read next 5 verses? Yes, Aniruddha. Yes, go ahead. Read from 21. Govinda, you can go next. Aniruddha has not read, so we'll give him chance from 21 to 25.
Obeisance to you, Lord of the Sattvatas, and to your forms of Vasudeva, Shankar, Shana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. That's me.
Mhm.
Obeisance to your form as a faultless Lord Buddha, who will bewilder the Daityas and Danavas, and to Lord Kalki, the annihilator of the meat eaters posing as kings. O Supreme Lord, the living entities in this world are bewildered by your illusory energy, becoming involved in the false concepts of I and my, therefore to wander along the paths of fruitive work. I too am deluded in this way. O Almighty Lord, foolishly thinking my body, children, home, wife, money, and followers to be real, though they are actually as unreal as a dream. Thus, mistaking the temporary or the eternal, my body or myself, and sources of misery or for sources of happiness. I have tried to take pleasure in material dualities. Covered in this way by ignorance, I could not recognize you as the real object of my love.
Thank you. Very nice, Aniruddha. See, Lord selected you to read those verses. He gave an inspiration to read where your name is coming.
Text 21, there's my name on it.
Yes. Yes. And Lord inspired you to read that, right? Very nice. Okay. So now, first 5 verses, what is Akrura saying? That you are the source of everything. Whether material, whether spiritual, everything is coming from him. Then next 5 verses, Akrura is saying that not only these, but even these incarnations, Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, all these incarnations also are coming from you. You are the source of even these incarnations. Now, in these next 5 verses, Akrura is describing the expansions of the Lord. What are the expansions of the Lord? Obeisances unto you, Lord of Sattvatas. You are the form of Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. These are the first expansions of the Lord. So, who is Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha? If you see, have you all seen that Goloka chart? Where it is described. So I'll just explain that little bit very quickly. It is a long, very, very big chart, but I'll just explain in brief very quickly. So what is explained in that chart, and that chart is derived actually from Srimad Bhagavatam. So what does Srimad Bhagavatam explain about creation of this universe? Is when this universe is created, it all comes from Mahavishnu's body. Every pore, or every roams that we have, this pore, skin has our pores, right? The skin has, so every pore of Mahavishnu's body emanates one whole universe. Can you imagine the size of the whole universe? And can you imagine the size of Mahavishnu? It's amazing, right? So all these universes have these 14 planetary systems within. There are upper planetary systems, there are lower planetary. Based on the person's consciousness, either they take into the higher planetary systems birth, or either they take birth in the lower planetary systems where conditions are not good for living. Higher planetary systems have conducive conditions of life where they can purify themselves and ultimately get relieved from this material world, or get freed from this material world. So when these material worlds are, what is there? Are in the spiritual world, there are all Vaikuntha planets. There are Vaikuntha Loka, where Lord Vishnu resides, the form of Narayan. All the forms of Narayan, Lord Vishnu reside there. Then above the Vaikuntha planets, there is Ayodhya. There is and then there is other forms of the Lord where Lord has taken all this. When Lord comes in different pastimes, they all have spiritual abodes in the Vaikuntha planets, above the Vaikuntha planets, and above all that is Goloka Vrindavan, and where Lord Krishna resides himself with all his associates, with all his devotees, with all his family and friends. There, Lord Krishna expands when he comes out of Vrindavan. Lord doesn't leave Vrindavan. So who comes to Mathura? His expansions come to Mathura. So Vasudeva is first expansion of the Lord. Shankarshan, Vasudev, Pradyumna, and Anuradha. These are the expansions of the Lord who actually then come out of Vrindavan. When Lord comes out of Vrindavan, he comes in this form of Vasudeva, Shankarshan, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. And then from this, from Sankarshan comes all this, from Vasudeva comes all the incarnations of the Lord, and from Sankarshan comes Balaram. From Balaram comes all these other energies of the Lord. So with this, he's saying that although these expansions, Vasudeva, Shankarshan, Pradyumna, he's saying, oh my Lord, even you are the source of even these expansions. Obeisances unto you as faultless Lord Buddha, who will bewilder the Daityas and Danavas, and Lord Kalki, the annihilator of the meat eaters, posing as kings. So he's explaining all these incarnations and expansions. You are the source of everything. The living entities in this world are bewildered by your illusory energies, becoming involved in the false conception of I and my. They are forced to wander along the path of fruitive work. I am too deluded in this way. I, Almighty Lord, foolishly thinking about body, children, home, wife, money, and followers to be the real, though they are actually as unreal as dream. So, thus mistaking the temporary for eternal, my body for myself, and the source of miseries of the source of happiness, I have tried to take pleasure in material duality. So see, actually Akrura is talking not only for himself, but all those applies to us. That's what we are doing actually, knowing that the Lord is the source of everything. With the, what is his instruction? That we should not get entangled in this material world, because this material world is a place of misery. And what happens is we, under the influences of passion, ignorance, and goodness work here upon us, and then we get entangled into that. We get entangled into the sense pleasure, we get entangled into the sense gratification in fulfilling our senses, and we do wrong things, and then we are bound by karma of getting fulfilling those wrong deeds that we have, suffering for those, and that way we are entangled here. And Lord wants us to be pure and purify ourselves and connect with him in a pure consciousness and bond with him in the bond of love. But that's what we are not doing. So Akrura is saying that we get entangled into all these material dualities here. And you are the real object of my love. So it's true for all of us. Okay, so let's read the last 5, 26 to 30th. Yes, Govinda, go ahead.
Just as a fool overlooks a body of water covered by the vegetation growing in it and traces of marriage, so I have turned away from you. My intelligence is so crippled that I cannot find the strength to curb my mind.
which is disturbed by material desires and activities, and constantly dragged her and there by my obstinate senses. Being thus fallen, I am approaching your feet for shelter, O Lord, because although the impure can never attend your feet, I think it is nevertheless possible by your mercy. Only when one material life is seized, although it is naveled, Lord, can one develop consciousness of you by observing your pure devotee. Obeisances says to the supreme absolute truth, the possessor of unlimited energies. He is the embodiment of pure transcendental knowledge, the source of all kinds of awareness, and the betterment and the force of nature that rules over the living thing. O son of Vasudeva, obeisances to you, within the womb all living beings reside. O Lord of the mind and senses, again I offer you my obeisances. O Master, please protect me. You are surrendered unto me, unto you.
Unto you. Who and unto you. Okay, thank you, Govinda. So in this last 5 verses, Akrura is revealing his heart's position on how, just as a fool overlooks a body of water covered by the vegetation growing in the chases a mirage in it and chases a mirage, so I have turned away from you. See, this is the position of all of us at this present moment, right? We have all turned away from the Lord. What are we doing? We are actually chasing the mirage. What is chasing the mirage means? That there is something that we think that is going to please us, that is going to give us happiness, but actually that is not true, right? See, what are the things that we think that give us happiness? We think these clothes give us happiness, going out give us happiness, going on vacations give us happiness, eating nice food give us happiness, a lot of shopping give us happiness, video games give us happiness. All this is temporary. It is maybe it's occupying our mind for some time, and it's for some time it takes away from a little bit misery, but understanding none of these are permanent things. These are all going to be taken away from us, right? So how can something temporary give us permanent and eternal happiness? These are just sense pleasure. They are just satisfying our mind for a very short period. And then same things will actually, if you eat, you like sweets, right? If you like gulab jamun, say if you like 10 gulab jamuns, 20 gulab jamuns, and these same gulab jamuns will become cause of our misery, right? So all these actually things that we feel that are giving us happiness actually become cause of our misery later. So that's what we are doing. My intelligence is so crippled that I cannot find strength to curb my mind. And how to curb the mind? Saying which is disturbed only by taking your shelter. Being thus fallen, I am approaching you, your feet for shelter. Only if we take the shelter of the Lord, we actually become freed from these entanglements. So he's offering obeisances to the supreme truth, the possessor of unlimited energies, and the Lord can purify us. He has unlimited energies, right? And he is the embodied of pure transcendental knowledge. When he reveals the knowledge about himself, the knowledge of his spiritual abode, his bond of love, his devotees, and how he reciprocates with everyone, all those things, when those are revealed to the heart, actually frees us from this entanglement and the predominator of the forces of nature that rule over the living beings. So we are free from all that. All this comes by what? Only by taking the shelter of the Lord. O son of Vasudev, obeisances unto you, within whom all living beings reside. O Lord of mind and senses, again I offer my obeisances to you. O Master, please protect me. Now see, here it turned around the whole situation. Akrura was trying to do what? He was trying to protect who? Krishna, right? And now
Krishna.
he's saying, oh Master, please protect me. See how all his illusion is gone. And how? Who am I surrendered onto you? When we surrender to Lord, we actually realize we can see things as they are. Very nice, powerful prayers by Akrura. So we did it fast today. There's a lot more to say. These are very deep prayers. Each and every point is very, very significant. We could discuss hours and hours how Lord is the source of everything, how everything comes off from Him, how these material energies come from Him, how the spiritual energies, come from Him, how these demigods, the incarnations and his expansions. Is so much to say how Lord is the source of everything. But ultimately, we do not realize, because we do not realize, we are entangled into this material world. And when we come to that point of understanding due to the mercy of the Lord or his representative or gurus who are sent by the Lord to revive, ultimately when we take shelter, only then all these things, entanglements of ours, get removed and we can purify ourselves and then live an eternal and real life of real happiness. Otherwise we would be chasing behind the mirage here, as Akrura is saying. So very good, beautiful prayers. So with that, I think we are just at the time. Anybody would like to share anything for last minute or 2 minutes? What they learned? Yes, go ahead. Mihika, you have some questions?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much for the class. I learned a lot. Mataji, I have 2 questions. It said like Krishna was the lord of the Sattvatas. So who are the Sattvatas?
So these are various personalities in the spiritual world. They mentioned that the expansions, then there are, levels of expansions from Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Vasudev, Shankarshan, then there is another layer of expansion, then there is another layer of expansion. Like that, when it comes to Mahavishnu, Mahavishnu is considered the 1/16th part of Lord Krishna. And can you imagine the size of Mahavishnu? So there are various levels, and Srimad Bhagavatam also describes in briefly, all this, but in actuality, there is so much more that is still to be discovered when we go back to Godhead.
Okay, Mataji. And also I just wanted to make sure that did Akrura offer these prayers right at where he got bewildered, where he saw Krishna was sitting on the chariot and he was on the below the lake, or
What was happening is when Akrura was taking Krishna to Mathura, and Akrura was driving the chariot and Krishna was sitting in the back of the chariot, Akrura was very disturbed, very disturbed. Now to remove to relieve him from the disturbance of his heart, Krishna actually asked him to stop at one of the ghats, which is still there today. It's called Akrura Ghat, and there is a water bodies there. And Krishna, I think Yamuna is there close by. And then Krishna said that I would like to take bath there. And so Krishna goes down in the Yamuna to take bath. And then he does not return for some time. And then Akrura gets worried, and then so he goes down into the water and he sees Lord Krishna in this universal, beautiful form, and seated on the the throne, and all these energies are serving Krishna. And then he gets bewildered, and when he comes out of the water, he sees Krishna right in front of him sitting on a chariot. And then he goes back again, and then he sees Lord Krishna there again, and then so he's bewildered what's going on, and then he just surrenders. And then when he surrenders, which is under the waters, then Lord Krishna reveals all this, and then he offers the prayers there.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, I think we will end here. We'll quickly say our prayers. Vancha kalpatarubhya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo Nanda Koti Vaishnavrind ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai,
की जय
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण